Here's what's coming up on today's show.
Certainly don't take investment advice that can put you in a bind with your family's financial future on something you heard on TV, or for that matter, even heard on or saw on the internet or read on social media.
Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
Mark, you spend roughly 10% of your waking hours with your eyes closed from blinking. Ever thought about that?
I didn't, but I know we blink constantly, so I guess that kind of makes sense.
I read that earlier this week, and I was inclined not to believe it at first, but on further thought, maybe that's true. So.
I'm not going to test it. That would seem like a pretty tedious job.
I don't blink a whole lot, but, you know,
I think we blink and don't even think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure it's kind of one of those involuntary things that happens. I was unlikely to find out that this week. It's kind of an unlikely fact to find out. But let's talk about other things that are unlikely wisdom. You wouldn't necessarily expect these people that I'm about to mention here, Lindsay Lohan, Rosie O'Donnell, and Mike Tyson. You wouldn't want to take advice from them as a general rule.
Certainly not Lindsay Lohan, I would think.
Certainly not. You wouldn't expect those people to be dispensing wisdom about financial matters. In fact, you'd probably expect exactly the opposite. But with a little bit of creativity here, we can get some financial wisdom out of these quotes. From Lindsay Lohan, first of all, I'm my own worst enemy, and I know that. What kind of wisdom can we get out of that?
Well, knowing that you're your own worst enemy is actually the key. And I think when it comes to investing, a lot of people are their own worst enemy. They get in their own way. In fact, I was just talking to a gentleman this morning who was talking about how he was sitting in a money market still in his retirement accounts because he lost so much money in the financial crisis, which, ended in 2009.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he knew he needed to get into something, and I'm sitting there going, you should never have gotten out, but you certainly should have got in before today.
Wow.
But anyways, people, it's financial behavior, and money's emotional and those sorts of things. So a lot of times we try to hold our clients accountable and keep them in the markets and do a lot of hand-holding, especially not necessarily right now when the markets are doing so great, but when the markets aren't doing well, and having people stay the course and stay invested, because that's the only way the investments and the markets work, is if you stay invested. If you try to get in and out and time the market, it's impossible and it doesn't work.
And it's taken that guy you were mentioning 15 years to come around to
that and he still has, and I don't even know if he's going to take my advice, but I told him he needs to get into something today, but we'll see. Yeah.
We're talking about unlikely wisdom here, and you might get some wisdom from something that Rosie O'Donnell says, believe it or not. She said, anybody that you put on TV for 5 hours a week is going to say something stupid at some point. And, of course, it takes some people a lot less than
I was going to say,
hours.
You could have people on in 5 minutes and they could say something stupid.
5 seconds.
But you got to take something with a grain of salt when it comes to, even the news isn't really the news. It's all opinions, and opinions have to get a reaction because that's how they sell ads. And if they say things that are boring that people already know, that's probably not going to draw a lot of viewership. So it's important that you do your due diligence and understand that, and certainly don't take investment advice that can put you in a bind with your family's financial future on something you heard on TV, or for that matter, even heard on or saw on the internet or read on social media.
Yeah. When you have to, in the case of TV, when you have to create 24 hours of content every single day, and you're worried about getting viewers and ratings and all that kind of stuff, it's inevitable there are going to be some things that are said that are really stupid.
Right. That's how you sell ads.
And let's talk about Mike Tyson. Now, Mike Tyson is not somebody you would expect to have a lot of financial wisdom to pass along, but he said something that I've heard football players say, too. He said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And that's true when it comes to finances.
That's true. And he's, I don't know if you've read about him, but he owns a lot of marijuana, like dispensaries and stuff like that, and has been doing it for a long time. So he's actually done quite well investment-wise, financially. So, there's something to be said for that. But anyways, everybody thinks they're an expert when the markets are up. It's when the markets are down that you need to be challenged. So it's tough to lose money in a market that we've been in recently.
I've known people who were college football players who one of their favorite sayings was, until you get punched in the mouth, everything's fine. But, and just like have a game plan, and then when you get, somebody knocks you down, I mean, it kind of changes,
Right, and you got to exactly. Yeah.
So it's crucial to have a plan, but just as crucial to have a plan that allows you to roll with the punches.
Well, things change, and if your plan doesn't have changes put into it, then it's not really a very good plan.
Yeah.
But your plan should have, what-if scenarios, which is what we do.
Folks, that is one of the things that Mark Silverman always does, making sure that you have a plan, but it can be tweaked along the way, and you can adjust to the times. The number to call if you'd like to have a conversation with Mark Silverman that's not going to cost you anything and not going to carry with it any kind of obligation, 520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. You can call or text. It's a complimentary 20-minute introductory call. You call that number, and you can set up a time to have your conversation with Mark Silverman. He's not going to pass you off on anybody else, and you can decide to work together or not. You can get to know each other a little bit. All of that's not going to cost you a thing, not going to carry with it any strings attached. You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601, or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.